Hi, this is Derek, and I'd like to ask you a question. And that is, are you sick of looking back at an 8-hour, 10-hour, 12-hour day, looking back on that and seeing only maybe 3, 4, perhaps 5 hours worth of results? You know, we all go through it at some time, don't we? And it can be pretty stressful. But did you know you can change your results completely simply by changing the sequence in which you do the things that you need to do throughout your day? And that's what we're going to talk about in this video, and I want to use a metaphor, an illustration to explain how this works. Now, you've probably either seen a roller coaster in your life or ridden a roller coaster, and me, I love them. I've ridden I don't know how many because I just think that they're awesome. But I don't really want to talk about the experience so much, but more so the design, how roller coasters are designed. Now, when you look at a roller coaster, a typical roller coaster, especially some of the older ones, maybe not the newer ones, but some of the older ones, how are they designed? Well, if you look at most roller coasters, the older ones, they usually start with what? They usually start with a big hill, followed by a bunch of smaller hills, like this, right? And that's what your roller coaster typically looks like. You start here, end here, right? Now, why is this design so important? How does that make the whole process a successful roller coaster ride? Well, the designers of the roller coaster know that they have a limited amount of energy in which to get you from this point to this point. So what they choose to do is spend a whole lot of energy getting you up this first hill right here. And they know if they get you up at the first hill, and you start moving downward, that momentum will carry you over the rest of the hills, right? So spend a lot of energy here and let momentum take care of the rest, right? And it's a great system. It's always gotten people from the beginning to the end of the ride, and it's been a great trip. Now, imagine what it would be like if you were to try to take this the opposite way, though. Remember, they have a limited amount of energy. So let's say they started the opposite direction and got your car moving this direction, and what would happen is you'd end up expending a whole lot of energy getting over these little tiny hills to the point where you get to this big hill and you just wouldn't have any energy left over, right? You'd expend it on all this small stuff, and so approaching this big hill would be impossible to overcome that or reach up here because you've lost the benefit of the momentum that tackling the big hill first gives you, right? Now, if you take this approach every time, what happens? Well, you continually have a bunch of big hills that are left undone. So what does this have to do with creating unstoppable momentum each and every day? Well, you begin each day with a limited amount of energy. Okay, you only have so much energy, so much time throughout the day. Now, the very first thing that you decide to do each day has a major impact on what you're able to get done throughout the day. Okay? If you tackle your biggest hill first, and this is usually something that's either the hardest or something you really don't want to do or something that's the most important, and it's usually something that's so easy to put off because it seems so difficult and so daunting. But if you force yourself to tackle that first hill, that biggest hill first, then you'll gain the benefit of momentum to tackle all the little tiny things that you have to do throughout the day. So it's the sequence in which you do things. Now, at the same time, think about doing it the opposite way. If you were to go and do the simplest things like most people do, if you take and do the small things first, or the unimportant things like checking the news, checking your email, checking Twitter, or whatever it may be, if you do a bunch of these small things first, then what ends up happening is you use up all your energy, or a lot of it at least, to the point where when it comes to doing the big thing that you need to do at the end of the day, well, you just don't have any energy or momentum to enable you to take care of it and complete it. So what ends up happening, you put it off for another day, and you start this process the next day the same way, doing a bunch of little tiny insignificant things, and then getting to the big hill maybe around noon, 1, 2, 3 o'clock, and just not being able to tackle it. But once again, if you tackle this first, put all your effort and really push yourself to tackle the biggest hill first, you'll get momentum to take care of all the small stuff. So every day try to figure out what's the most significant thing that I can do, you can do in your day, and get it done first. And if you do that and get it out of the way, then you'll create unstoppable momentum for getting the rest of the things done. Okay? So that's it for today, and have a great day.
Did you like this video? Would you like 20 more just like it that explain to you how to take more action and finally get things done, all for free? Well, then visit www.theactionmachine.com. Once again, that's www.theactionmachine.com.